that. Okay, but just to give you the definition of a method, it's a block of code. It could be a single line or it could be multiple lines that ideally perform a well-defined task. Okay, it's easier if we organize our code in related blocks. So all the code that's related to performing one task, a well-defined task, should be placed within a block of code that then has a method name that describes that task. Okay, or a function if you prefer. Again, they go by lots of different names. If you've read other programming books, you'll see them referred to as lots of different names depending on what language is being used. But the idea meaning really that if we organize our code into blocks, we can then run those blocks on demand. This is also the underlying philosophy because it allows us to reuse that block of code. We saw how a period of time and then move on from there. We can just draw on that code when we need it, when it's required throughout the program. And that might be dependent upon user entry as well, what they type in and what they select from the program. So we can call these blocks of code when we need them. Okay, so it makes sense to give our method names good, meaningful names that describe what they do. So for example, if we have a block of code that only is returning the name of a student or of a person, then we could call our block of code getName, and that might return the name of the user. Display result, hopefully as you can tell, would display something to the screen. And init array, init short for initialize, would be to initialize the array. Okay, so these are method names like our variable names. Again, common sense prevails here. It makes sense to use method names that are meaningful, that describe what the block of code does. And then within that block of code, ideally we want to just write all of the code required just to perform that. Okay, because then we can have a series of well-defined blocks that we can call at any given point. We can select from them. Okay, if you, I suppose the alternative to a single task would be multiple tasks. So if you are trying to do more than one task in the same block, then the problem is if you only want to perform one of those actions and you have lots of other actions in that block of code, then you can't exit out of the function easily. You could include break statements there or return statements, but much more meaningful if the code just does what is described by the method name. You wouldn't want to get the name and also get the ID and also print the results at the same time. You just want to get the name. Okay, same with a display result method. You wouldn't want to display result and do 10 other actions at the same time. The user might not be asking for that. Okay, so these are just some common sense rules, just some guiding principles with regarding to our design and our organization of our blocks of code.